Okay, Brian, number 7.
7, again, this was a tough one for me to place, but I'm going way back here and giving credit
Wow.
to Kristen Clever.
Wow.
James doesn't like it. So Kristen's, for those that don't know, she's been to the games 5 times. The last time she competed at the games was kind of just a shell of who she was prior to that. She took 32nd, but in the 4 years that first 4 years she competed, she was first, second, fourth, and fourth. Fourth, first, second, fourth in order. She has 6 event wins at the games, which I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 makes her 7th best all time. And I don't really have a ton to say here. If you haven't ever watched the 2010 CrossFit Games with battle between her and Annie Thorsdottir, it's one of the most epic back and forths of all time. I think they won like 8 or 9 of the 11 events that year between the two of them. Kristen's a bit of an outlier, in a lot of ways on this list. She's, hasn't competed in a while. She's a bit of a smaller athlete, but she was phenomenal for the year she was there. I expect that she'll, obviously she'll just slide down the list as time goes by, but for now I still think similar to Julie Fouché, but better. She deserves some credit for now.
What do you think about this idea that Kristen Clever kind of changed the sport? She kind of showed women what they were capable of, and then everyone kind of took hold of that and ran with it and kind of left her in the dust. But I feel like she upped how much the year she won the games. How much did she win by? I feel like she really took the women's division to the next level, and then the next year after that, it went even one level higher.
That year was basically her and Annie were pulling way ahead of everyone else. So it was some small margin over Annie, big margin over third place, and then the next year it flipped. Annie was able to beat her, and then she was fourth the year after that as well. And then that was basically the end of her career. One more appearance, but a 32nd place finish. So similar to Josh Bridges, we're just at the last year or two that they were competing. They weren't in that conversation, but I don't know, 4 years, 4 top 4 finishes, 6 event wins. Yeah, she was early on in the sport, but I definitely agree that she helped to forge the way ahead.
I also feel this is kind of off subject here, but once you start placing 30th and below at the CrossFit Games, it's really basically 30 through 40th. I always picture sort of as a tie, a 10-way tie, because when you start getting into the people who finished at the bottom, the injuries start coming into account, people pulling out of events. There's just it becomes more circumstantial than really how well you did. I could be wrong on that. That's just the way I think about it.
Like when I think about at the games, the closer you get to the top, the more each place matters. So I think there's a big difference between first and second and third. Fourth and fifth maybe similar. Then you can say 6 through 8, maybe 9 through 15 is kind of like somewhat in and then the gaps get bigger and bigger, or the groups get bigger and bigger.
I don't know.
What's the deal here, Hobart? Are you having kind of the same thing I am, that you think she's sort of a relic and that she wasn't even really competing in a mature sport, and so she shouldn't be on the list? Because I sort of had that with Julie a little bit, but with Kristen it definitely even comes in more.
I'm not going to call Kristen Clever a relic just because I agree with you. No, I do. I agree with you on what you said. Athletes like her and Annie, I think they spearheaded a huge change in what was possible from the female athlete field, and just their attitude, demeanor, training approach. But I just think the more current competitions and performance in more current competitions weigh so much heavier in this. I don't know if I would keep her in the top 10, I think, but not 7, not ahead of Carrie and Kristen Holte. But
I also haven't looked at the data, but I would have put Graham ahead of Dan Bailey in the men's list.
Because he has a championship.
Right.
Yeah.
But Brian's the
poor
expert.
Brian.
I'm just here to take punches.
You want to talk about Graham and Dan?
No. Let's do that on the next show we have Hobart on. We'll have Hobart on later this week, and we'll bring up that.
Look, I hear what you guys are saying about Kristen Clever, and if Kristen Holte and Carrie Pierce, their best performances come in years that is just hard for me to weight extremely heavily, their podium finishes relative to other years. If they come back this year and place in the top 5, then I will not bat an eye, and I will move them ahead of Kristen Clever easily. But if they come back this year and finish 15th, I don't know.
Fair.